Now, this is a headline that's starting to go around some Marxist circles, that suddenly the Pope is on our side. You know, like when he was on our side during the Cold War, when the Pope did nothing but produce hollow anti-Soviet propaganda. Now, I know there's a lot of people who really think this is something significant, that the Pope is declaring an alliance with Marxists to fight this concept of greed. Now, keep in mind that he's not actually saying to fight capitalism. The thing that his seemingly trillions of dollars in his tax-free city is actually based upon. See, the problem here is that the Pope's entire wealth is based on that system. His call for the rule of law, that law that's created by the bourgeoisie, the very opposite of what we stand for. You see, the point of Marxism is to overthrow that system that we see as illegitimate, not reinforce it by getting people to follow its laws. This really should be obvious to anyone who has even a tiny bit of integrity, even a tiny bit of critical thought whatsoever. Now, I know there's a lot of these Christian socialists running around hailing this as some kind of victory and some kind of opportunity for big change, and it means nothing. As many people seem to have forgotten, he did this a couple years ago, and I made a video on that back then too, saying how the Pope is not a socialist. He's the figurehead of what is is the wealthiest entity in the entire world. And as I said, is probably worth trillions of dollars. I even said to someone who was excited about this, yeah, if all of a sudden he's a communist, he's going to be giving up his wealth, right? He's going to be selling off all of the gold in his golden city to feed the poor, right? And their answer was, well, even if he wanted to, they would prevent him from doing it. To which I responded, you just reinforced my argument. You didn't argue against me. You just proved me right. See, that's kind of the problem. These are words, not actions. Do you really honestly believe that if the Pope was calling for an abolishment of privately owned wealth, that the Vatican would just sit there and get rid of its trillions of dollars? You would be a fool to think that. The entire Vatican, not necessarily Catholicism, the Vatican is built on that ill-gotten wealth, like shaming people and guilting people into giving them money through buying government bombs to fund wars, allegedly. We do know that the Vatican does hold government bonds. Whether or not those fund wars is up for debate. We do know they have a massive portfolio of investments using the most capitalist of capitalist mechanisms. Like, you really have to be a fool to think that the Pope actually means anything about allying with Marxists. This makes absolutely no sense on every single level that you could possibly think about it. You would really have to be a fool to believe this. For someone to claim to be a Catholic Marxist or a Christian Marxist makes absolutely no sense. One could be a Christian. One could be a Christian or be a Catholic and be a Marxist. But one could not be a Christian Marxist. That's a complete contradiction in terms. One would have to compartmentalize one from the other. Now, you could be a Christian socialist. Now, there is such a thing as Christian socialism, but it is not Marxian socialism. That's a whole separate thing altogether. You know, that's not us. That's something else entirely. And if that's you, that's fine. I'm just drawing the distinction between Marxists and Christian socialists, which are two different things. we as Marxists explicitly reject idealism, and religion is in itself idealism. You can be religious if you want, but that is not going to be a part of Marxist theory because it is explicitly rejected by the theory. I am not particularly an atheist myself, but I compartmentalize my beliefs away from the political theory because the theory does not recognize them, and it would be wrong of me to expect others to follow them as well. The two cannot be synthesized. They are in direct opposition to each other. There's no dialectical relationship nonsense, because for there to be a dialectical relationship, the nature of the contradiction between the two has to define each other. Dialectical is not when two things are opposite to each other. People continuously misuse the word dialectical. The vast majority of people who use the word do not know what it means. Dialectical is not when two things oppose each other. It's when there's a relationship between the two, and that antagonism between the two define each other. Like capital and labor, worker and capitalist. So we shouldn't have to go over this again, how the Pope is not a Marxist, because this is complete and utter nonsense. But unfortunately we do. This is not something that's going to change anything. This is not, oh, well, this is a step forward, because we have already had this false step forward. The church is not a progressive institution. It is not going to help. It is not going to make anything better. It is never going to make anything better. The church has had hundreds of years to make anything better in any way, shape, or form. The Catholic Church today, or should I specify the Vatican, is entirely predicated on privately accumulated wealth. It is as much capitalist as any corporation is. To claim that it is anything otherwise is just foolish. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.